Good afternoon, dear colleagues, our great panelists, supporters, partners, organizers, and all the attendees who are together with us at the first webinar in a series of the events on sustainable urban ecosystems in Ukraine and the Netherlands. My name is 𝗪𝗲𝗪𝗍𝗍𝗪. I am the International Board Member of the International Real Estate Federation, 𝗨𝗪𝗍𝗍, and also I'm an Executive Director of the Ukrainian chapter of 𝗨𝗪𝗍𝗍. So we always supported events of SYNCHRO SPACE from the moment of its founding, and I'm honored to be invited today as the moderator. So each of the partner organizations which are here together, they strive to improve the quality of life in cities through the exchange of experience and with the help of innovative solutions from startups. The desire to positively influence further development of the context of the global change, pandemics, economic crisis, and climate changes has made possible a series of these joint events held by ResilientSociety and SYNCHRO SPACE with the support of the Embassy of the Netherlands and of course of the other big and influencing organizations who are the partners of this event. Firstly, I want to outline the schedule and format of this event. It will be also very innovative and interactive. And we are going to have two keynote speakers at the beginning, experts from Ukraine and Netherlands, who will open the main topic of today's event, air pollution, heat stress, and drought, how cities can cope with these challenges. And after that, in the second part, we will have the pitches of our 4 great startups, 2 from Ukraine and 2 from Netherlands, which are already making the impact on the sustainability of the urban ecosystems in both countries. Each of these 2 parts will end with the Q&A sessions, where the startups will ask the questions to our experts. And after the startup pitch, the expert will be able to ask the questions to founders and founders of the startups and representatives of the startups. So seems like we will have a great battle today, and I'm going to be a bad person, as I already said, that I will try to control the time limits of each of speakers. So I will let you know that 30 seconds left for your speech or your presentation, and I will say like 30 seconds. And before we start, I want to give a floor to main organizers and inspirers of this event. First, it will be 𝗨𝗪𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗧𝗍, founder of SYNCHRO SPACE, who will say a few words about the SYNCHRO SPACE and also will introduce our honorable guest, Mr. Jens de Mol, ambassador of the Netherlands of Ukraine, and 𝗪𝗲𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, founder of ResilientSociety and WorldStartup, the organizer of this event from Netherlands. So please, 𝗨𝗪𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Alisa, take your time for the welcome speech.
Good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen. I'm so glad to see all of you, and thank you for joining us to discuss such important topics and to influence the development of our cities. Thank you, Katerina, for introduction. SYNCHRO SPACE is a hub of innovations for cities and an incubator of innovative urban solutions. So it's a unique platform for the synchronization of activities of different specialists: architects, designers, engineers, environmentalists, IT specialists, etc., with the aim of joint creation and implementation of technological and urban solutions. Our mission is to create the conditions and support for the development of modern cities in Ukraine and in the world with innovative solutions. In the past 2 years, we organized 3 unique hackathons. 26 innovative solutions were developed with the participation of 24 teams and about 50 experienced mentors and experts. The important thing is that the customers of these projects were 7 Ukrainian cities, as well as 3 popular locations in Kyiv. Our SYNCHRO SPACE team strives to be a driving force for the growth of professionals and startups, and their collaboration with cities and companies, where the result is a comfortable, ecological and smart urban environment, quality services for citizens, and Ukraine's strong innovative business. Now we actively preparing for the fourth urban hackathon, SYNCHRO SPACE, which starts on the 24th of July and will be online. We will conduct it in cooperation with 4 more cities and United Territorial Communities in Ukraine. And we will solve real relevant challenges of these cities. And right now we are working on 3 directions. The first one is the developing of urban and technological solutions for public spaces. The second one is creating smart transportation solutions. And the third one, and the most importantly today, solving environmental problems. As a result of the hackathon, teams will have the opportunity to pilot the best solutions with the support of city halls and SYNCHRO SPACE. Sign up for the 4th Urban Hackathon SYNCHRO SPACE and offer your solutions. You can solve the challenges of cities with innovative projects, and you can influence which cities we will live in. Detailed information is on our website hub.synchro.space. Also, you may subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube channel, because together we create our cities of future. And today, thanks to our excellent collaboration with partners of ResilientSociety and WorldStartup, and with the support of the Embassy of the Netherlands in Ukraine, we will discuss the topic of the first block of urgent problems of cities with leading experts from 2 countries. The problems include air pollution, heat stress, and drought. This is a very important event because in this way we will help our cities determine the vector of further development, get acquainted with the experience of colleagues from other countries, and apply the best practices. And startups will have the opportunity to present their solutions at an international event and scale them in foreign markets. I'm very glad that the official representatives of city administrations are present both from the Ukrainian side and from the Netherlands. Today we are pleased to have with us Запорожье, Вінниця, Житомир, Київ, Рівне, Тернопіль, Краматорськ, Гостомель, Чугуїв та Лозову cities. Also, we are proud that representatives of Hague Business Agency, Startup Amsterdam, and RVO also joined us. Thanks a lot to our partners for their support. It's UNDP, FIEPS Ukraine, Katerina said, thank you very much, and also Ukrainian Startup Fund and Tech Ukraine. And now I will gladly introduce the ambassador of the Netherlands in Ukraine, Jens de Mol. Jens, please.
Okay, thank you. Well, everybody, what a great opportunity to see you and to talk to you. Today, we gathered quite a lot of brain power from various regions and cities in Ukraine, as well as from different sectors in the Netherlands, to address some topics that are faced by many cities all around the world, namely air pollution, heat stress, and drought. And we will discuss how cities can cope with these challenges and using innovative approaches. The harsh social reality of the last few months has brought significant changes to our usual way of working and life in general. But nevertheless, the values we share and the achievements we aim for remained more or less the same. The answers to the challenges and expectations we have, however, may be different than a couple of months ago. It is remarkable that while most of the national governments introduced various restrictions as a response to COVID-19, our usual perception of distance has altered quite substantially the last weeks and months. To be near and provide support, we no longer need to travel a long way, avoiding financial, time and environmental constraints. And actually, in my view, technology and design offers us lots of different options for bringing innovators and change makers together. Interacting with each other, we not only exchange experience and apply the best practices to a local context, but also inspire one another, jointly contributing to development of the most innovative and meaningful solutions. And yes, of course, everybody prefers the real thing. We want physical contact. Like diplomats, well, it's a contact sport, you know. As you may know, the national color of my country is orange. But the Netherlands prides itself on being green initiatives. And you can find it back in all sectors of the Dutch economy. Whether it's transport and logistics, in energy, water management, industry. The Netherlands' sustainable infrastructure serves to reduce the country's carbon footprint and with it to improve the air quality. So to be honest, it's not an easy path, but there is actually no alternative. With a national environmental policy plan in place for more than 20 years, the Netherlands has a strong commitment to sustainability and a circular economy. The country continually strives to stimulate innovation and offer sustainable solutions, not only for its own environmentally conscious population and companies that choose to call the Netherlands home, but also to its numerous counterparts, near and far, like Ukraine. And we're happy to share our knowledge, experience, expertise, whether it's good or bad. From bad things you can also learn. Myself, I'm from Eindhoven, in the south of the Netherlands, which is actually the city of industrial and social design and innovation. It's one of the smartest regions in the world. Well, perhaps not for me, but it is from an economic point of view. And my favorite expression is, if we do what we did, we get what we got. So if we want to something else, we have to innovate and dare to try. So words like co-creation, collaboration, and crossovers are the mantra. Entrepreneurial spirit is the driving force, and I saw it on the websites of many of the organizations that are actually today involved in our webinar. So I hope that this webinar will succeed in connecting the dots, bringing the right parties together, and that in the nearest future we will all benefit from the smart and creative solutions for the outstanding challenges that we're facing worldwide. And with that, I will end wishing you all the best for today. Good luck. And I'm looking forward to hear about the outcome and see some of you soon live in Kiev. Take care.
Thank you, Jens.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I'm happy to introduce 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗙 And I see great prospects for the further development of our partnership. So together we can do much more. So Gerrit, your words.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and I want to just quickly share some slides to add a little bit more color to my introduction. And it's a pleasure to be here with all of you and to organize this together. I'm looking very much forward to the speakers and the startups. So I'm going to be as brief as possible. So I'm from WorldStartup, which is a global entrepreneurship platform, and we accelerate purpose-driven entrepreneurship worldwide. Our approach is supporting startups in every phase of their journey and investing the best with time and capital in return for equity. And that is really important for us. So we started as an accelerator, but well, we're entrepreneurs ourselves, and we just couldn't stop helping startups after the acceleration program, and we couldn't help us trying to help startups that are not that, well, not that ready yet for an accelerator program, but in a more earlier phase. And well, that's why we chose to expand our reach and to help them in every phase. We design and build and execute innovation programs with a focus on co-creation by government, NGOs, business and science. We really believe in this co-creation and the value of the crossovers between different kinds of experts. We embrace experiment, work bottom up and step by step. So always in a very incremental way. Founded in 2015, and we now have a team of 20 plus, well, senior team with many seasoned entrepreneurs, startups from all over the world. And I just wanted to quickly show you a couple of them. We are a B Corporation, and we are proudly based in the impact city, The Hague, which is one of the 4 major cities and also known as the city of peace, justice, and security. So these are some of our portfolio champions, and actually you're going to hear more about one of them during this webinar. Is you that is doing the monitoring of air quality. 𝗪𝗲𝗍 was providing instant locking systems with track and trace for cargo bikes, and thus making the sustainable delivery possible by cargo bikes. ClickChain, one of my favorites in our portfolio, is actually a blockchain company providing transparency in the supply chain in Tanzania, in India, and other countries. And Ukrain, one of our companies from Taiwan, who is providing affordable smart farming instruments, so farmers can have a higher yield and lower costs. And these are just a couple of the founders and the startups that we're supporting. And well, it's and yeah, when we actually, the reason why we organize webinars like this is that we are constantly looking for new opportunities and startups that are purpose-driven, that are ambitious, and that have the potential to scale on a national and an international level with innovative technology. Well, we're eager to learn more about what you're doing, and then to see whether we can help you. This is some of the recent work that we've been doing. So helping WWF with sourcing for their funds, design and execute hackathons together with the World Bank on applying data and applying new solutions with data for the COVID-19 Data Observatory. And for instance, one of the things that we've done in the past months is setting up this network for co-creation to come up with new solutions for society in this pandemic, which is the ResilientSociety, something that was referred to earlier in the webinar. And the reason why we did this is, again, because we really believe in co-creation, working together with universities, business, and NGOs, and governments to create solutions rather than sticking in your own silo and trying to do it completely on your own. So this is something that I would like to invite you to. It's a Co-Create Future Cities, and for me this webinar is part of a series of events that we are organizing, and the Co-Create Future Cities is going to be an event in September, which will be organized as part of the Upstream Festival. And so I hope you will, well, you will probably hear more about this in the upcoming weeks, because I hope that we can also do this together with the Ukraine and organize a couple of interesting labs, hackathons, perhaps even, and other events during this online conference. Looking very much forward to the speakers, to the keynotes, to the startups especially. And well, if you need any assistance, if you want to do something that is really purpose-driven and beneficial for society and nature, reach out to us.
Thank you, Gerrit. Thank you, Mr. de Mol. Thank you, Alisa, for your speech. Of course, we are very happy that three of you organized this great event. And now I want to introduce our keynote speakers. who will make the presentations today. So I will introduce both of them, and then we'll give a floor to our first speaker. So first we'll make a presentation for us, Roman Zinchenko. Roman, please give a sign to us.
Yes, I exist and I'm alive.
Yes, Roman is the Ukrainian clean tech and smart energy evangelist. He's a co-founder of Green Incubator, head of energy committee at Ukrainian Venture Capital Association. Roman advises green startups as well as corporates and develops ecosystems for low carbon entrepreneurship in Ukraine since 2009. He co-created 𝗨𝗥𝗕𝗦𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗘𝗠𝗦 Hack for Energy contests and brought to Ukraine international clean tech competitions, including Climate Launchpad and Power Up. Yes, very, very exciting portfolio, let's say. And the second expert is Andrea Orsak. Andrea is a co-founder at Mission C. Also, I didn't say that Roman is from Ukraine and Andrea is from the Netherlands. Andrea is a co-founder at Mission C, strategy advisory firm based in Amsterdam, on a mission to accelerate the transition to circular economy on a global scale. Andrea is a consultant with more than 10 years of experience combining risk management strategy and change management across industry, both for the commercial sector and non-profit organizations internationally, helping organizations to refine their sustainability strategy, adjust business models towards circularity, and engage stakeholders. So we are very proud that you have accepted our invitation to be speakers for this big mission, and both of you are working locally and globally. We are very, very happy and thankful to all you do for your countries. So please, we give the floor now to Roman, and then Andrea, after you will have your time. Please, Roman, you can do your presentation.
Yep. Dear friends, colleagues, it's a great pleasure to be here with you and to share the really important components on building urban ecosystem. I have, you know, a little bit of second identity towards that because, well, for the last 11 years, I am privileged to work for serving clean tech entrepreneurs and eco-innovators community here in Ukraine. But my second part of my soul belongs to architecture, urban design, and the city of Rotterdam, which I love immensely as a gem of modern architecture. And I'm capable of strolling around the city for quite a long time. And another reason, as Mr. Ambassador mentioned, the national color of the Netherlands. And right in front of me, I see the Ukrainian translation of the book called Startup City, published, inspired by our friends in Startup Amsterdam. And of course, the cover of Ukrainian edition is done in the official color, which is named Dutch orange. So we are learning a lot from the Dutch eco-innovators, from the Dutch urban designers, and I will just try to share a bit of my perspective, what we can do there. So I'm a big believer in entrepreneurship. Just this second, I'm launching my presentation, but it will be about intersection, how entrepreneurs are able to help the cities in creating the sustainable ecosystem and in creating the sustainability solutions. Just one second. So the presentation is on, right?
Yes.
I have 12 minutes left. I'm thinking of sustainable urban ecosystem as collaboration of cities, entrepreneurs, and drivers of development. But if we're speaking about urban sustainability, I would just offer my not scientifically verified definition. It's not dying as a city, because city is the concentration of opportunities, ideas, economic drivers, cultural magnets, and human energy, and just don't die as a citizen. So we're living through an interesting year where we've been actively exploring new ways of dying as a citizen. COVID, fires, dust storms, extreme temperatures. So we are seeing now a lot of challenges. We are seeing that our ecosystem is actually quite fragile. And seeing my native city of Kyiv with the transportation stopped was for me one of the sources of major shocks. So how we define the future of the cities without the risk of them dying? Because yes, there were cities that are dead or where the economic activity diminished significantly and they're no longer magnets, because cities are used to be magnets for a lot of talented people. So I actually see the 4 factors now for defining urban sustainability and factors for failing at urban sustainability. So if we look at the most urgent challenges of the cities now, so the safest way to fail is just ignoring 4 components. Component 1 is mobility. And mobility is the key driver. We do use online technology. We do have online webinar at the moment, but the cities are about mobility. Mobility is one of the key factors that connects cities. Otherwise, we could live on islands and everybody could be happy. Social distancing is perfect on islands, but still we flock to the cities. The second component is surfaces. The surfaces is bigger than roads and bigger than buildings, because the surfaces are is the key fact which defines how the city's heat waves, how the city's concentration of challenges in terms of climate aspects is moving. Are we capable to handle the component of the, for example, summer heat waves with the green areas, with the access to water, with the adequate planning, of the city territories, or we are not able to do that? Then, of course, this is economy and economic drivers. Well, I'm living in the city, which is often slow to rethink its industrial heritage and transform it into new forms of economic lives, because cities do anchor into economy as a magnet for attracting growing population and bringing more people in. But still, if we are relying on if we are having hundreds and hundreds of hectares of industrial properties which have no life in them, or where life is not present, that's the challenge. And finally, another important factor is culture. The culture of the city, the social practices, the social patterns, and the ways how people are failing to behave in certain ways. So we do look into upgrading different aspects, but sometimes we do fail to promote the sound practices. So, and here I want to jump a little bit back into history, and maybe somebody would recognize this book. I want to jump into the surfaces situation of my native city of Kyiv. This is the beautiful illustration from the research done by the great analytical group called 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗙 VDI, the index of the greening of the city. On the right is the temperature. And design of the surfaces and the urban planning is one of the key factors which is creating the epicenters of heat within the cities and actually causing the cities to snowball their energy consumption by extremely relying on the air conditioning, which is actually contributing to the average, to the median temperature, especially during the summer. So one of the core components for designing the sustainable city is rethinking how we work with the surfaces, be it road areas. Should we change the materials there? Should we change the coloring there? Should we invest more into shading, into creating some shadows around the roads? Roofs, are we changing the traditional colors of the roofs? Are we changing the materials? And concrete. because our cities are built of concrete, and we do need to invest to make the road surfaces and concrete more sustainable, including more sustainable for the part of nature which is called Homo sapiens, because sometimes we do suffer from the overheating. So, and I just want to refer to several great scientists that were impacting my life. So when I was a student, economics was one of the basic books, and Samuel Nordhaus is one of the key brains behind the many students who went into business economy. But I was really happy to learn that 25 years after I was going through this book, he actually got the Nobel Prize for another thing, because because William Nordhaus is one of the scientists who did research on the climate change and how it integrates into long-term microeconomic analysis, which means market capitalizations, which means the survivability of our cities, which means the impact of carbon on the welfare, and which means developing new models, how we are designing the economies, how we're designing the regulations, and how we're designing different other aspects. So that's impressive that from the person who is creating the foundation of modern capitalism, he has also created the foundation of green capitalism. When we're speaking about the sustainable cities, we cannot escape the economy, and we cannot escape the climate change, which is really hitting the cities right now. And another great researcher, great scientist, and Nobel Prize winner is the Richard Thaler. And I do urge everybody in this webinar to grab and buy his book Nudge, which is essential for the behavioral economics, because behavioral economics is what we call culture and we call social practices, and we do need to transform social practices to be able to get into more sustainable cities. So what we do, we are thinking that the economy, that the markets are sometimes broken, but some of the people in the markets, including 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗙 pricing risk and pricing climate risk is essential. So we need to create the green incentives for investments. And where are investments? Well, the cities are actually attracting over 70–75% of the global investments. So the clean tech is the opportunity here, and we need this cool overlap between clean tech entrepreneurs creating new sustainable technologies and city and the urban initiative that would be exploring these new technologies and integrating them pretty fast. Because the problem about the cities, they are extremely conservative, and if we fail to speed up some of the investments, well, we will fail to survive as a civilization, at least in some part of this planet. So decarbonization is essential part here. If we are speaking about the year, it's important to put the decarbonization into equation, and it's important to have this as an essential part, of our life. So we are working to put Ukraine on the Global Clean Tech Innovation Index. We're still not there, but hope we will succeed there. But I want to share with you several of the stories of the clean tech innovations created here in Ukraine. So yeah, I'll skip through that. I had my, yeah, so we are running the Climate Biz. The Climate Biz is the program we are running. This is the largest grant program for the clean tech entrepreneurs in Ukraine. And this program is fueling some of the interesting technologies creation here. So as I've already mentioned, there are 4 factors that you need to ignore to fail at creating sustainable cities: mobility, surfaces, economic drivers, and culture. And I want to go about stories of the several startups who are creating sustainable solutions here in Ukraine. First, well, these are not the startups. These are some of the municipalities here designing, well, bike trails. I'm a biker myself. I do love Kyiv culture of designing bike trails, especially in the bridges. So they are certainly designed by somebody who loves people. But we do have bikes as a really interesting part of Ukrainian ecosystem. First for e-commerce, because many people living in Kyiv might have seen the red and black bikes of the company, which is called 𝗨𝗏𝗏𝗏, who launched the e-bike delivery. It started as a 1-hour bike delivery, and now they're doing courier service. But what's cool about this company, they are replacing a very important part of the logistics, which is called courier service and the parcel deliveries. So the parcel deliveries are actually taking a lot of road surfaces, and these guys are doing the record-winning e-bikes, which they're mostly exporting, but they're also greening the local delivery service. And now they are targeting new markets: service people, bike enthusiasts, motorcyclists, and recently they launched a new product which is targeting the police. So Green 𝗨𝗏𝗏's Green Bike, Green Police initiative is now helping the police departments to patrol on their bikes, and that's a lot of interesting innovation. So, but e-bikes are something common. What we have new and often ignored or fought against, well, you've probably seen around a lot of people on the monowheels and on the electric scooters. So there is a challenge about them. And this challenge is actually the regulation and the penetration of the services. So I'm now sharing some of the slides from the amazing company, which is called 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏. So the challenge with the so-called micro mobility is this. It's actually having them charged, and it's actually having them accessible and ready for your next ride. So micromobility is the big topic, and it will be getting more and more popular around the world. But the problem is, if we are able to provide the charging for all this beautiful whizzing things. The problem is the wired charging for the small scooters is not always an option. So they are spending a lot on people picking up bikes and getting them charged. So the alternative is actually wireless charging, wireless fueling, and very interesting thing, the number of municipalities are now testing this technology, and the Ukrainian company called 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏 is now behind some of the projects in this field. What else exists here? Well, we see a lot of interesting startup initiatives going into this field. So some of them are turning the surfaces into generation. So we have a great Ukrainian startup which is called Solar Gaps, and it creates energy generating blinds. And another great project in this field is the project which is led by my brother 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, who is also co-founder of 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Is a project called Solar Town. So this is the first municipal energy cooperative, and they're building this energy cooperative in the city of 𝗨𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, the nuclear city serving Chernobyl nuclear power plant and decommissioning this nuclear power plant. So the electrical mobility is another part, and at the heart of the Ukraine's major charging infrastructure, I'm happy we have the components, the electronics, the solutions created by Ukrainian companies here and funded by the grants administered by green incubators and funded by European Union and European Bank for Construction and Development. So these charging stations from 𝗏𝗏𝗏 and the new charging stations from Auto Enterprise, Ukraine's largest charging networks, they do have the new internals, the new heart, the new controllers, and we are really happy to be able to provide funding for these things. So another player in this field is Go2U. They got a recent, recently got a top ranking on Michelin's e-mobility initiative, and that's pretty interesting and pretty dynamic technology. So I'll just skip to that. Air. So HVAC is another important factor. And I was had recently a conversation with the CEO of the company called Prana System. And the Prana is doing a really important component. This is the decentralized heating and ventilation systems with recuperation effect. So in other words, the smart air inlets that prevent you from losing heat or cold from your apartments and still allow you to have the comfortable climate and the sustainable good levels of oxygen in your in-house air. So I was speaking with him, and what I learned that the sales of their solutions went up due to COVID, and they've got more new clients both in Ukraine and internationally, because people are getting more concerned about the quality of their in-house air. Well, yep. 30 seconds.
Yes, please.
Okay, so we are helping to save on energy for Ukrainian national postal operator with analytical energy management software. We are helping Ukraine's second largest postal operator to integrate artificial intelligence into their road planning, and that allowed them to cut their CO2 emissions and fuel spending by 12%. And we are looking to new generations who will be driving the green transformation of green economy. So here I should probably wrap up. Yeah, cool guys. Yeah, another important things. So the weather is really important. So one of Ukrainian startup called Atmosphere is doing amazing service, which is called hyper local weather prediction. So thanks for these units, the building operators, the critical system operators are able to predict the weather with precision to up to half a kilometer, which is critical if you're doing large energy business or if you are dependent on the some rain or drops in the air temperature. So we are actually looking for creating of new generation of entrepreneurs that through all this COVID crisis would just keep calm and would grow green GDP. So we'd be more than happy to share what we know and connect with the people in these sectors who are creating green innovations, both for Ukrainian and global market here. Thank you for your attention, and sorry for a little bit of technical hiccups. I do hope we will be able to bridge some of the bright, sustainable minds from our countries and help people collaborate here.
Roman, thank you for this great presentation, and I'm sure that you will have a lot of questions to answer after Andrea will finish her presentation. So now I want to give a floor to Andrea Orsak, co-founder of Mission C from the Netherlands. Please, Andrea, you can start your presentation. You can share your screen, and this is your time, please. Andrea, we don't hear you. Please switch on the sound.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Finally reached.
Hi, everyone. My name is Andrea Orsak, and sending best regards from beautiful Amsterdam, where I'm currently living and residing. So very happy to join this presentation that is focusing on sustainable urban ecosystems also, because I strongly believe urban ecosystems are very important. We know that the population of the planet is growing, and actually there's this estimate that within the year 2050, it's going to be around 70% of the populations living in the city. So this just gives us a tremendous idea how important those ecosystems called cities are. And we also know that there are several problems our planet is currently facing. Of course, climate change being one of those, and being heavily responsible for all those floods and droughts and the heat waves as well. And that's why we really need to pay close attention how to solve those challenges, how to mitigate those risks linked to that, and create ecosystems that are really for people being able to provide a nice, livable areas. So with Mission C, which is a strategy consulting firm, we are focusing especially on circular economy and helping companies and organizations to bridge the gap between business and sustainability, and especially really helping them to realize the benefits that are linked to circular economy. And saying that, I would like to talk a little bit about Amsterdam. So I'm very happy to hear that we already had here Ambassador 𝗪𝗲𝗍𝗏 talking about Eindhoven a little bit. Gerrit was talking a little bit about Den Haag, and right now it's time for Amsterdam. And of course, the benefit of the Netherlands and all those cities are that we are a very decentralized country. So pretty much like every single city, even doesn't have to be a capital, it's a big important ecosystem on its own. So Amsterdam as a capital is perceived by many people as this beautiful fairy tale-like city, very sustainable, very green, because when people think of Amsterdam, everyone imagines people biking throughout the city and enjoying life on a terrace, especially in the summer. However, we also do feel that that's a city that has to be really careful, because probably some of you heard that we are under the sea level. Majority of the city lies under the sea level. And water is a constant topic here, consciously and subconsciously, and it's very important to manage this correctly. So our airport, Schiphol airport, the main airport, is actually -4 meters under the sea level. And there is a reason why Netherlands feels a little bit more comfortable about managing water risks. And the reason is very historical, but also the fact that we were able to develop expertise in water management. And currently there are 26 water boards across the whole country, being responsible for managing all the planning and all the mitigation of the risks linked to water and the floods. So you've probably seen that there are quite a lot of systems, water barriers, there are dikes, canals built up. And this is how it looks like pretty much. So the blue part is not what is flooded. This is showing you what part of the country is under the sea level. And this tiny little yellow circle is actually Amsterdam, just to get an idea why we have to be really very careful about that, and why every single discussion talking about the sea levels rising is very important for everyone in the Netherlands to watch, and the responsible ones carefully manage. Another really important topic is, of course, air pollution. Again, people very often think the Netherlands is a very green country, people are going everywhere by bike. That's unfortunately not true all over the country, however, not even Amsterdam. In fact, in the morning, I was just playing around with some applications and I was checking, okay, how is the air pollution and air quality doing right now? And right now it looks pretty good. We're doing all right, according to the Dutch Institute for Health and Environment. And unfortunately, however, Amsterdam is considered for a pretty high emission city. And there are even some estimates that on the dirtiest parts of the city, it feels like you are breathing a smoke out of 5 to 10 cigarettes a day. This is how polluted it is. And that's also one of the reasons why Amsterdam is, of course, trying to adjust and create a livable environment for the citizens. One being by adapting to the to the Clean Air Action Plan. So Clean Air Action Plan is actually in line with the standards of the European Union. And the idea is to really hold it up to the year 2030. And then from year 2030 to even step up the game and really follow the World Health Organization standard, which is twice stricter than that. And of course, like it comes with certain plans having in place, such as like zero emission from 2030. So there is a really nice roadmap how to get there. So already as of this year, there are certain cars with certain emission categories that are very simply just not allowed into the city within the ring, as we call it. So that would be kind of like a circle of the highway around the main city center area. And then there is another level from year 2020, public transport buses will have to be either electric or powered by hydrogen in order to get there. From year 2025, all the taxis of the scooters or deliveries really have to be electric if they want to get inside of this ring, which is a pretty big area, to be really honest. So it's really interesting to see what's happening. Of course, talking about mobility over here, I fully agree with Roman. That's just absolutely crucial for the city ecosystem to hold up like all the promises and creating a nice environment. And especially in the city center, we could also see that many parking spots were completely smashed. And right now, instead, you can have there either parking stalls for bikes, or you're actually going to see growing meadows for bees and butterflies. It looks pretty amazing. However, I would like to focus on something that can help us to prevent climate change, especially going forward, help us to mitigate risks linked to both flooding, but also improving the air pollution. And that to me is something called circular economy. Why I'm so super keen to talk about circular economy? Well, we know that if we want to decrease the CO2 emissions, we need to switch to renewable resources. However, switching to renewables, and again, Netherlands has a long way to go, unfortunately. We're not as green as we're being perceived when it comes to renewables. This can help us to decrease the emissions by 55%. And the question is, what do we do with the other half? And the other half is very often linked to use of resources, creation of products, using those products, and especially throwing them away. So right now, very often we are within the linear economy, or we can also call it like throwaway economy. We purchase something, we use it, we don't need it, or we feel like we would like to buy something new, we just throw it away. Then we got recycling economy, where it's a little bit better by trying to reuse the product a little bit better, extend the life cycle of this product. However, still quite a lot of waste that leads in the end to this pollution and increase of CO2 that is creating a warming and floods and really unpredictable weather patterns is happening. So what we really need to do is circular economy. And I'm very happy that this has been mentioned already before, again, also by Ambassador 𝗪𝗏, because the Netherlands has on a country level a goal to become 100% circular by year 2050. There is also an intermediate goal, which is to become 50% circular by year 2030. So it's going to be really important decade, those upcoming 10 years. As for good news, it's being supported overall within the European Union, because this year it's been also updated a circular economy plan that's been launched. And absolutely amazing news is that City of Amsterdam really stepped up and this year launched Amsterdam Circular Economy Strategy. So going circular is the way to go. And now, of course, the question is, how do we do that and what does it mean? When I was talking about the linear economy, so pretty much how we are living our lives day by day nowadays, it's we take the resources represented here by the tree. We create a product in a factory, so there is a production process behind that, and then we discard it. So simply said, we either don't need it anymore or we just decide it's a time to buy something new. Whereas a part of the circular economy and really important ambition is to, instead of throwing it away and considering it a waste, is to give it a new life. So there are several R's, such as like reuse, repair, refurbish, remanufacture, repurpose, recycle, recover. That the whole concept of circular economy really aims to embed into this new way of how to live our lives. Instead of creating waste, we are having still valuable resources that can be again reused for creation of new products. Ideally, the products are not even thrown away, but they're repaired, they're shared. This really provides for ecosystems such as cities, new ways how to engage with the customers, because suddenly it's a very different relationship if we're sharing something or if we're leasing a certain product. Let's be really honest. If you live in a city center, or generally, if you live in a city, you do not necessarily need to own a drill, for instance. And there are even huge retailers such as Gamma, where you can just rent it and just do the job and return it. And it not only is more economical on a short-term basis, of course, but it also saves you space. And you always can make sure that you have the latest drill that is really good. You can get advice from the people at the Gamma, how to use it, what is for you the best, and so on. So Amsterdam decided that's the strategy they want to implement. It's been launched this year, and the goal is to really significantly cut emissions through circular economy by year 2030. I just wanted to show you a little bit like what's happening overall, because we have quite a lot of emissions here. Majority is out of CO2 scope 3, which stands for actually use of those products. So it's really production consumption, the consume lifestyle as we know it, all of us buying constantly something, and it wasn't very different even now during Corona. It just moved for a majority part online. And then we're talking really about a lot of materials that get wasted if they're thrown away. So they either get burned, which is again CO2 emissions, or they're thrown away to the landfills. So they're polluting lands that could be used in a different way, or very often they get into waterways. That's also a case of Amsterdam, of course. And that's why it's very important to realize that those materials have value. They are valuable. So what is it that actually City of Amsterdam decided to do? They very carefully thought about, okay, what to focus on. And they came up with 3 main value streams. The first one being food and organic waste. So we know that more than 33%, so 1/3 of all the food is typically wasted. Not only as it's grown and as it's being transported, but also in the household. So it's very important that we shorten those supply chains. That's why like the focus is on local food, engaging the citizens of the city to grow their own food, have gardens where they can share. And also, what do they really do once there is actually organic waste? So what became very popular is all the different 𝗲𝗏𝗍𝗍𝗏. So it's a very natural way how to compost, workshops being organized all around the city, which is absolutely fabulous to see. And then there are, of course, startups playing a very important role. We have a really nice one that's helping to fight food waste called Too Good To Go. It's actually a Danish startup, but very popular in Amsterdam. And also when it comes to packaging, really embed reusability into that, such as startup 𝗪𝗧𝗪, for instance. And the fruit boxes and veggie boxes were absolutely a huge hit, especially during the Corona crisis, when people felt that ordering online is a little tiny bit better than going in person to the supermarkets. Yeah, then another one that they decided to focus on is consumer goods. According to the research that was also conducted last year, people don't really mind buying secondhand. In fact, it's more than half of Amsterdammers purchased something secondhand last year, which is a very good sign. And there are platforms. There are platforms enabling that, so really great to see that. It goes for textiles and so on. And the last one would be built environment. So we're talking about the buildings, solar panels, green roofs, material passports, bee hotels, using wood and so on. And over here, I just really want to conclude that circular economy really provides a new way how to think. So the psychological and socioeconomic thinking, how to change mindset, how to perceive waste is very important. And it's not necessarily a new concept. It's been here in effect for a really long time. It came also with the name Spaceship Earth, which is a world view that every single citizen of planet Earth should act as a harmonious crew working towards a greater good. And I really strongly believe that's our future if we want to be here in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Andrea. It was so inspiring presentation. And before we will start the questions from our presented here startups, I want to ask you the question from one of our attendees, 𝗪𝗨𝗪𝗍𝗶. What is the role of the creativity and creative industry and clusters in the rising the circular economy?
Absolutely loving the question, because the question is, how many people do know about it? People need to know about this. They need to understand. And that's exactly where the role of creative industry is absolutely huge. I'm very grateful that here in Amsterdam, there's this new initiative that was started last year called Creative for Climate, for instance, really bringing on board all the design brand agencies, people working in a PR to help spread all the news about climate change and also the solutions. So they're right now creating all the different campaigns in a creative way, pushing it out there, making it very easy for people to understand the need, the urgency, but also what is it that they need to do. Because of course, no man is an island, and this is not about individual. We really need to change the system. We really need to change from doing business as usual, but also as individuals, we're part of the system. So we as individuals need to change as well. And creativity is definitely the way to go to realize and involve, bring everyone on board.
Yes, that's right. I'm sure that all of the attendees of the event have a lot of questions to our speakers. So we promise you that we will send all the answers of our experts to you after the webinar, because now we have here with us the representatives of the startups, which are ready to ask their questions to our experts. But before we start, I will introduce them one by one. So here we have Alexander Gunkel, founder of Space for Good from the Netherlands. Space for Good has a team of data scientists, urban planners, geographic information experts, and remote sensing specialists who have a unique skill set and provides advisory work to public and private organizations that require decision-making support enhanced by Earth observation and geoinformation systems. So Alexander, can you show up that you are here?
Yes, can you hear me?
Also, we have here 𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, am I right in spelling? Head of Healthcare Marketing Strategy of YooHoo from the Netherlands. YooHoo believes that everybody armed with the right information has the power to change their lives for the better. And YooHoo is dedicated to providing people with technology to understand the air they breathe and empower them with the knowledge to create a healthier home and workplace. Please, Albert, show up that you are here. Just as sound, check the sound, please, as well. Also, we have here two representatives of startups from Ukraine. It's 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, co-founder and developer 𝗨𝗥𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Ukraine, the first environmental chatbot plus map and independent air quality sensors network. The chatbot aggregates permits and procedures for environmental pollutants, environmental taxes, and air quality. So, Pavel, give.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, and the last but not the least is 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, project manager of Your Air Test by 𝗨𝗏𝗏𝗏 from Ukraine. Your Air Test is a web app for collecting and analyzing air quality data. Your Air Test products will allow users to receive up-to-date information about air quality, but the main feature of Your Air Test will be the pollution sources detecting and, if necessary, an opportunity to influence the situation through collective requests and petitions. 𝗪𝗏, please give a sign to us.
Hi, guys.
Yes, so I propose here, as we have a very limited time, to give one question from each of you to our experts, and just choose the expert, because we are so limited, we will not be able to have like both of them answer the questions of you. So please, Alexander Gunkel, you can ask your question to our speakers. Please.
Yeah, so I would have a question to Roman. My question is, in which sectors do you believe Eastern Europe, in particular Ukraine, will like aim to take an European and perhaps even a global lead?
Okay.
Well, thank you. That's a real one, a nice one. Katerina, should I proceed with the answer or wait for the second?
Yes, proceed, please.
I do see a lot of potential in the technologies on the intersection of software, of the energy grids and the software, AI, the prediction, the maintenance, the energy brokerage, the energy arbitrage. I believe this is gonna be a really interesting sector for cooperation. And I know really impressive teams working in this field. And also I see great potential in electrical mobility in both hardware solutions and some of the building components. That's the interesting directions where the Eastern European engineering teams can provide some impressive edge in developing innovations. As for the long shots, we have a cooperation with the city of Hlavudić, which is doing decommissioning of the new Chernobyl nuclear power plant. And there is some interesting opportunities in the decommissioning old power plants and the experience they have doing there in post-catastrophe environment. But the combination of hardware, grids, and software, I see a lot of solutions and opportunities here.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Roman. And the second question will be from Mr. 𝗪𝗿𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, please.
Just call me Albert. It is much.
I tried to learn how to spell even through Google Translate. I'm sorry.
It's difficult. It is green forest in English. So anyway, Roman, can I also ask you a question? Because I'm dealing with a company which is based in Singapore, and we have products all around the world. Is it difficult to find partnership in the Ukraine and even to find investments for the next phase of our company? Is that feasible in Ukraine?
Well, it depends on the type of the partner you are seeking. For example, I see some of the companies doing production partnerships, but this is mostly cases for the closed supply chains, and where people are building the integrated production facilities somewhere near EU border to export to the major, for example, major electronics vendors or major auto vendors, etc. Ukraine is really easy in terms of developing partnerships for the non-tangible solutions, including like the tech industry is Ukraine's third largest export sector. But unlike the two firsts, agri and metal, this is really full of innovations and really global. But you should be, of course, very doing a lot of background checks when you are entering Ukraine's market. And my suggestion is always had a local guide and do the information double checking the reputation of your prospective partners. If you would just give more details about the type of the partner you are seeking for here, I'll be able to more specifically focus on the roadmap for developing partnerships here. But the tech talent is very dynamic, present, so there's a lot of opportunities for building partnerships here in really interesting fields.
Yeah, we're looking, for instance, in distribution partnerships in the B2B market, for instance. That is what we are looking for.
I think that you can discuss this while the presentation of Albert in the second part, because I think that you can talk about this, about your willings, what are you willing to do here in Ukraine as well. Okay. As we are very limited, I will be a bad person. I promise that I will be that person. And now I want to give a floor to Pavel Tkachenko to give the question, because
yes.
Safe EcoBot, also one of the projects from Ukraine, very important. Please.
Really impressive product.
Okay, I have a question to Andrea. I saw on one of your slides that near 88% of waste is industrial, and in the Netherlands, you have 3 working coal-fired thermal power plants,
and several have been closed in the last 5 years. All coal thermal power plants produce large amount of solid waste in the form of ash and slag. Is this waste used somewhere further, all 100% or part? Because, for example, in Ukraine, 99% of that waste is stored in the open air and creates a massive problem for the environment. Thank you.
Andrea, please.
Thank you so much for this question, Pavel. And you're absolutely right. It is a huge problem. It is a tremendous problem here in the Netherlands. So some of this is being utilized. There's, for instance, a company called Aker Solution from Norway that's working with some power plants, and they're capable of transforming those into fertilizers, for instance. So it's kind of like, again, circular economy embedded, using it to create fertilizers out of the CO2 and the sludge. However, a lot is just being stored, and this is a huge problem still here in the Netherlands.
Okay, thank
you very much. And the last question from our startups will be from 𝗪𝗲𝗏𝗶𝗍𝗍, your air test. Please, Dmytro, probably you also have a question to our Netherlands colleague.
Yes, I have a question for Andrea. Hi, Andrea. My question is about what should the Ukrainian people change in their thinking to make a big step in environmental sphere? Because it's really important to figure out what we can do more or in a better way. Can you please share?
Yeah, Dmytro. I really think that it should start at the municipality and at a country level. So you're probably familiar that there is this Paris Agreement where the countries agreed that we need to do something with the CO2 emissions compared to 1990s levels. And again, the goal was that we can't really increase the warming by more than 1.5 degrees Celsius. So they really need to honor this commitment and come up with a policy and regulation on a national level that would really push those large polluters to do something. They need to be penalized. And on the other hand, there needs to be support for all those innovators that have solutions to climate crisis and climate change. Then when it's really nicely escalated top down, it can be creating a nice, interesting project on the local level, on the municipality level. And of course, I can imagine also in Ukraine, there are quite some people who realize how crucial to change the mindset and behavior is. So I know for a fact that the zero waste movement started to pick up there. But of course, we can't really put all this stress and all this weight of responsibility onto individuals. It really needs to be commitment of the country. But I do believe individuals can help by raising those issues and really appealing to people who are in charge to change regulations and to change the support.
Thank you very much for all the experts and startups to have this great Q&A session. It was wonderful. And of course, there are a lot of questions from the present attendees, and we have promised we will give the answers at the official page of SYNCHRO SPACE after the webinar. So now we are going to our next part of the event where we will have the presentations of these startups, which we have already presented their representatives here. So we have very limited time, so please be very laconic with your presentation. You have 5 up to 7 minutes for your presentation, and 3 minutes after for the question from our experts. So I propose to Andrea to give questions to our Ukrainian startups, and to Roman to ask the questions to our Holland startups. So please, let's start. I give a floor to Alexander Gunkel, founder of Space for Good from the Netherlands. This is your time, and please start your presentation.
Verena, actually, I think it was agreed that I would be the last presenter because we have a very particular twist to air quality. So if you don't mind to put me as fourth. Thank you.
Absolutely no problem. Who is ready to do the presentation just for now? Okay, Albert, please start.
So I will share my screen with you.
Yes, please.
Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
No? No.
Do you have the availability to make the demonstration?
Yeah, I have share, yeah.
Yes, we see now.
You see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Albert.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we see the presentation.
Thank you very much for this invitation. I would like to present and discuss with you the protection measures. How can we protect ourselves against COVID-19? And then with a focus on air pollution. I'm 𝗪𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗔𝗕𝗟𝗍, I'm head of medical marketing at YOOHOO, and originally I'm a medical specialist. So what I would like to do in the next 5-6 minutes is to introduce to you the so-called virus alert powered by YOOHOO. Then I would go a little bit more in detail about the global and local situation of the COVID-19 pandemic. Then I will highlight the so-called virus index, where you can identify the spread of a virus. And then I will go to some protection measures. For those of you who are not familiar with YOOHOO is the manufacturer of advanced and affordable air quality measurement equipment and software. YOOHOO provides data, insights, alerts, and advice on the relationship between indoor air quality and health. So our credentials, we have use cases and we work together in homes, apartments, offices, workspaces, also hospitals and care institutions. And also we work a lot with governments all around the world. We have introduced recently, it's about 2 weeks ago, a so-called virus alert. And we are using air quality data within homes, workplaces, to create an environment that helps to deactivate viruses, enhance the immune system to be less susceptible for virus infections. A little bit information about COVID-19. COVID-19 belongs genetically to the so-called coronaviruses. And these viruses need a natural host, and then they need an intermediate host before they can come to the human beings and infect them. Coronaviruses are already described 2,800 years before Christ. And everybody remembers the pandemic in 2019, that was the so-called SARS virus infection. And we need to be aware of the fact that those viruses, these coronaviruses, will stay among us. And that probably in 2015, we have faced another 200 coronavirus infections. It's a very specific virus infection. The majority, 80% of the infections are mild, 15% severe, and 5% of the patients are coming to the ICU units. It's highly infective. So the transmission is very high. The fatality rate of roughly 2%, and people at high age and with heart and lung diseases are at risk. If you look at the early symptoms of COVID-19, then you see that they are also seen in when somebody has a flu, allergy, a cold, and also they are seen with the symptoms of air pollution. When we look at where are these infections taking place, the locations, you see that the majority is taking place at home, followed by work, care homes, senior homes, hospitals, and other places. So we could say that the COVID-19 pandemic is caused by that you are inside the house or you are inside. About the transmission routes, we have, of course, the infected people. Also, when the toilets, then there are droplets where the virus likes to sit on and then being transmitted into the air. And we have these very small droplet nuclei. And those are the ones who like to sit on particulate matters. And that is also the so-called airborne way for infection. Here you see a very nice picture about these viral particles. They are spread from human being. You see here a little bit in the air. They are going to sit on different places. And also they can be spread around by all the obstacles you're touching. But important is this one. So it is spread by the air. We know that also ventilation of a room has a huge effect on the COVID virus spread. In this, it was a Chinese restaurant where they have, where they had in one part of the restaurant a very low ventilation rate, and there most of the people got infected, and the other one was well ventilated and they didn't get it. Also, humidity is playing a big role. Most of the viruses are not, I would say, long-standing viable when the humidity is between 40 and 60 degrees. When it is very low, that is something these viruses like very much. Also, we have seen from many studies that there's an NO2 effect. So when there's a high levels of NO2, the deaths of people dying from COVID-19 is significantly lower than when the levels are low. So a little bit of summary. So COVID-19 is an airborne disease influenced by air pollution. We know that particulate matters can act as a carrier for COVID-19. Also, the increased level of CO2 are an important marker for insufficient ventilation, and humidity levels are playing a role, and pollutants like NO2 are affecting the immune system of the people as well. So what have we done? We thought about coming up with a so-called virus index. And this index is based on humidity, temperature, CO2, PM2.5, and NO2. It is a patent algorithm, and we can show very clearly on your screen if it is good, then the survival rate is low, and airborne virus is unlikely, mild, bad, or severe. And you get also advice which you can do to resolve these issues. So the simple measures you can take is wash your hands, keep distance, try to best not to touch your eyes, keep your mouth and nose with bent elbow, just don't touch it. Seek medical advice when you needed it. And last but not least, pay attention to the new virus load in your house and working place. So what we are recommending is have your temperature between 19 and 24 Celsius degree, keep the PM2.5 levels low, below 15, keep the levels of NO2 low, keep the humidity between 40 and 60%, and keep the CO2 levels in your room below 800. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm willing to answer all the possible questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Albert. And Roman, please, if you have questions to Albert, you can do it now. Roman, do you hear me? I think that, yes.
Albert? Yes,
Yeah.
so sorry. So two questions, if I may. First, am I getting it right that basically the current, this Yoo-hoo solution is the tracker of environmental conditions favorable for virus spread? So this is question one. And question two, do you plan integrating with the COVID-19 exposure solutions offered by collaboration of Google and Apple on their mobile platforms?
Okay, let me answer first your first question. I certainly believe that the air quality inside the house or inside the room is playing a crucial role in the spread of the virus. We are not claiming that you can be affected, because it doesn't mean that if the virus is in your room, that you get also infected. That's not the case. But it gives you what we see now. We are now 3 weeks on the market, and we get a lot of positive reactions. People feel more safe in their house, in their office spaces, when they know that the spread of the virus is low, and that if it is high, that you can do something about it. Working with and Google, first of all, it was very interesting to see because we have an app that has to be approved by Apple, and that was done. And they have shown interest in also working together. From Google, we have not heard anything. Basically, what's also important about this virus index and this virus load is the quality, which are being some also devices which you can measure with your phone or with other things. But the advantage of the Yoo-hoo equipment is that it has been tested in several laboratories and give accurate values. So how we can work together with these giants, we don't know. We have to see. We are just, in this respect, a small player in the world.
So thank you very much, Albert, for the presentation. Thank you, Roman, for the questions. And we are going to the next presenter. I hope he is ready. 𝗪𝗲𝗏𝗶𝗍𝗍, project manager of Your Air Test by 𝗨𝗏𝗏𝗏, Ukraine. Please, Dmytro, you have your time now, please.
Hi, thank you. Let me share my screen.
Okay, we see your screen.
Do you see my screen? Yes, great. Sorry. Okay, so I'm today presenting a project Your Air Test. This is air quality monitoring system. And we all understand that we are surrounded by air, but there's one nuance. We can't see it, and therefore we can't properly assess it. We need special devices capable to do it, but the number of ground stations is limited, and in many cases, they're not enough. So we need more, and our projects is about combining all this data from ground and satellites. So the World Health Organization estimates that more than 4 million deaths annually can be attributed to outdoor air pollution. Despite efforts to reduce air pollution, in many countries there are regions in which population continues to be exposed to increased levels of air pollution. The global cost of which is almost $3 trillion a year. We believe that countries need more direct public and private instruments to control emissions. What about Ukraine? We have more than 50,000 citizens dying annually because of air pollution. For a proper understanding of the air quality situation, we need ground stations, and given the size of our country, we need a huge number of them. And we have just 100 now. We know about our problems with large amount of air emissions, not perfect environmental laws, and lack of ecological projects, but we live here and we want changes. Air was important before, it is important now, and this will always be important for us. This is why we decided to look at the problem from different angles and find out the solution. We believe that by using our platform, residents, government agencies, and organizations will be able to obtain reliable information on air quality and the source of air pollution, and if necessary, influence to the situation through the creation of the collective requests, complaint, petitions, and lawsuit. The world is changing rapidly, and the sensors are getting cheaper, so anyone can have an access to them. And also the Copernicus satellite program was established by the EU regulations with the ability to analyze air quality, and Ukrainian has already signed a partnership with European Union. Our target audience is that everyone, all people around the world, and especially in Ukraine, because we created this for everyone, this project, and we believe that we can achieve great results because we need changes, guys, because this project for all environmental organizations, state and private, for human rights and for environmental public organizations, and for businesses, enterprises with right to emission, law firms, consulting agencies, and mobile applications. We are taking data from, no, this is free. So, our solution frameworks for users. Now let's see how the process of interactions between the platform and the users will take place. It consists of simple steps. If everything is fine with the air, there is options yes. So everything fine, and the clients will receive a notification that the air is fine. But if it is don't, and the air is polluted, the users will be notified through our application how dirty the air is. The user can react and leave the polluted area. So the user will also be able to submit a complaint through our application. So we are also considering options to work with businesses and state ecological department to help them understand who is the source of pollution, which is parts of cities are most exposed to pollution. In Ukraine, some enterprises that pollute air are located inside cities, and the control of air quality is the major important case for all of us. Ecosystem. So next, let's take a look at what the interface of our site and mobile application looks like. We plan to show ground sensors. It's small, but we plan to show ground sensors with satellite data and the layer of simulated interpolation around the world, allowing you to click on any point on the map to see what the air what the air is. The mobile application will provide air quality index. We also set up our own air quality control ground station called 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗧𝗏.
30 seconds.
Sorry?
30 seconds.
Okay, we are taking data from two major sources. First one is public and private sensors, worldwide more than 20,000 of them. And second one is satellite data on air quality taken from Copernicus satellite. By using our air test, we will be able to visualize air quality and show European and American air quality indexes. 30 seconds. This is examples of our 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗧𝗏 project. This is our ground stations, which has a huge amount of components, which is a particular matter, 2.5, 10, as well as carbon oxide, nitrogen dioxide, ozone, and sulfur dioxide. Project development plan. The idea has started in 2017, and then in 2018 we began to create a first prototype of our sensors, and a year later we developed a site. Now we are finalizing the development of 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗧𝗏 sensors and continuing to improve the website and mobile application. Next year we will add features for business to customer, business to government, business to business. Our team consists of experts and professors from different fields who know how to create large projects. We understand the complexity and importance of the project. We want to make a tool that will help increase awareness of what is happening in the air now, for the right changes that will need to be made tomorrow. Let's impact the air we breathe. Thank you.
Thank you, 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗏, for the presentation. And Andrea, please, you may ask the question to 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗏.
Thank you so much for the presentation, 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗏. I'm curious, so I see your roadmap and what are the steps in the coming years? What is currently the biggest challenge for you? because you already have an idea, you know how this should work, you already have the data. So what's currently a big obstacle you wish wasn't there?
The biggest challenge for us currently is to combine the ground structure, ground system with satellites, because for this we need to have a great model, because it's a bunch of data which we should combine, model line, and try to like stretch for all planet, which is really hard and really huge case for us. But we have so many experts who wants to help us, and I believe we can do it.
That's great, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Pavel. Thank you, Andrea, for the question. And now I give the floor to our third presenter. Please, 𝗪𝗲, you can finish the demonstration of your screen. And I give the floor to our next speaker. It will be 𝗨𝗥𝗕𝗔𝗡, co-founder and developer of 𝗨𝗥𝗕𝗦𝗬𝗏 in Ukraine. Please, Pavel, it's your time.
Do you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay. You see my presentation, correct?
Yes.
Okay, okay, great. So thank you for joining the webinar, and I would like to introduce our project 𝗨𝗥𝗕𝗦𝗬𝗏. That's the first environmental chatbot, map, and independent air quality sensor network. Most European countries have traveled a difficult path to be developed countries, and maybe some don't remember it or start to forget how hard it was. We are in Ukraine, and we are a developing country that's getting its way. The environment in Ukraine is in a crazy situation, but that's our country. We are living here. Let me show you how we are arranging it. Yeah. So, according to our theory of change, there is a path from data to improving air quality to achieve the goal of reducing emissions of harmful substances into the atmosphere. Our complex solution has three working parts. First is chatbot on major messenger platforms like Telegram, Viber, Rakuten, Facebook Messenger, with easy one-click access to different environmental data. The second is an air quality web-based map. And the third, a super affordable air quality sensor. Plus, right now in development, we have applications for iOS and Android. We believe that our project matches 5 of UN SDGs. Everyone knows that openness is great, that open data means transparency, but beyond that, openness is a huge plus for your reputation. Are you using the data from the third-party source? Show the source name everywhere. Are you generating the data by your sensors? Publish it in a machine-readable format. Use open source, open hardware as much as you can, and you will get a reputation. But what about data we're talking about? The first type of the data which we have in 𝗨𝗥𝗕𝗦𝗬𝗏, we call it fast food information, the term that can be understood by any person. That's the air quality expressed as the air quality index, well known as AQI, and accessible in the chatbot and on the map. Because such things like the levels by the law of different amounts of different harmful gases and particulate matters in the air are really hard to convey to people. And from the other side of the moon of our project, we have more complex but also more powerful information. That's environmental legal data and participation. The information that can help everyone prevent pollution rather than fight it when it has already occurred. Also, we have in the system web cameras, which are recording enterprises 24/7. We have data analytics and other advanced types of information. Thanks to our great partners, we achieved impressive results in 6 months. And right now we have more than 460,000 users in chatbot in 6 countries with access to the air quality information and legal data. But let's come to the practical cases. And one of them is traffic from search engines. A lot of people still have no idea how to get the information about the air quality. And what are they doing? They're going to Google and searching, for example, air quality Ukraine. And last autumn, we got idea and created thousands of pages in our system in 3 languages, Ukrainian, English, and Russian, for every human settlement in Ukraine using the open registry classification of objects of the administrative territorial system, which is open data. And as a result, in the past 6 months, we got more than 200,000 new users from Google. So use any source of a traffic to your project. Even non-typical solution can work. Of course, we are not alone, and there are competitors with similar services, so we can compare. But look at this map. All these white spaces are not ready to pay for expensive sensors, for business sensors. And countries, that's developing countries, and people there are not ready to pay for services. And for that, we have a solution. Non-profit model will help to do it. For example, air quality monitoring, when the money comes from a partner as a bonus to the station owner, and the partner gets a reputation in return. And the question, will it work? For sure. Look at this picture at the right bottom corner. Here we present a t-shirt, 𝗨𝗥𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗠 t-shirt, to the Minister of Ecology of Ukraine. And after the chatbot influenced people, and people learn about it, new laws and regulations were enacted, and we opened new data sets about environment in Ukraine, which confirms that our theory of changes works, and the result in a single country is here for all to see. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pavel. You finished in 5 minutes. Very, very good. So you have a possibility to have 2 questions, I think, from Andrea. Please, Andrea. We don't hear you. Please switch on the sound.
Yes, volume on. So Pavel, thanks a lot for the presentation. And indeed, you totally got me there, because as you were describing the majority of people, how they're checking pretty much the air pollution AQI, that's also what I did when I wanted to know, okay, how does it look like in Amsterdam today? And I'm just really curious, compared to that single tool online, so Google AQI, what would you say is the biggest difference and the biggest benefit to use actually your EcoBoat?
Because thank you for the question. Great. The difference that we have 2 sides of that, of the chatbot, which are the first part, that's the information which is understandable by every single person. That's the air quality, what you see right now. But that's already, if it's not clean, the air already with the pollution, and it's already occurred. But we have to prevent emissions into the air. And that's why we have our second part of the chatbot, where is the legal data and participation available. So you can attend some public discussions with the enterprises which planning to build some factory. So they will do the emissions later in the future. They're not even started building the factory. So you can come as a part of the discussion and give suggestions or give comments to enterprise. And thanks for the agreement, association of agreement with European Union, Ukraine right now has a law, environment impact assessment. So every citizen is able to say that I don't want that factory to be here, or please build a cleaning factory, build a filter, or place here air quality monitoring station. And we are giving instructions to people how to do that just in a few clicks, because people don't know all legal things.
Many thanks. I'm just really curious, based on the user experience so far within those past 6 months, how many people, or like how much was it really used, this legal insights and opportunity for people to participate? What do you see? What's the trend so far?
So right now we saw that near 50,000 subscriptions to the air quality stations we have. And we have near 5,000 subscriptions for the legal data, because you can subscribe to the region and the system will notify once any procedure will start, or you can subscribe to a company. Because if you're following, for example, a company which is located in your city and you understand that the company is dirty and not modernize it and they're planning to do some modernization, you subscribe to a company, just wait when they start a procedure. So it's like advanced professional tool, but that's the most powerful and most interesting tool which can predict air pollution.
Super, many thanks.
Thank you very much, Pavel. It was very, very inspiring. And the next presenter will be finally Alexander Gunkel, founder of Space for Good from the Netherlands. Please, now it's your time.
Yes, hello everyone. Really happy to be here today and present our company Space for Good. So I'm Alex, I'm the founder of Space for Good. We started the company in 2017. Beforehand, I used to work at the European Space Agency, starting impact ventures straight after, and consolidated my activities into Space for Good in around 2017. And as you can read from it, indeed, it's using space technology for social and environmental impact, particularly using satellite Earth observation, geoinformation systems, and artificial intelligence in order to map impact, social and environmental, with the help of satellites. And today we heard a lot about startups actually like tackling the problem of air pollution. Well, I actually want to show you a presentation and the project we're involved right now. We look into air pollution as a solution. Of course, it's a bit of a trigger headline. I will explain a bit more. But beforehand, I want to at least lose a few words about how satellite Earth observation systems can also help with the other two topics of our chat today, and namely heat islands and droughts. Before that, here a little picture. It's an animation on how many satellites are actually in space at the moment. And it's around 2,000 active, while more than twice as much inactive one. Meaning that we have a plethora of information, of sensors actually not only on the ground, but actually sensors flying in space. We're speaking here about navigation satellites, we're speaking about telecommunication satellites, but, and in our case, most importantly, we're also speaking about Earth observation satellites. And they're using different instruments, some of them optical, some using radar. They're having different revisit times, they're having different spatial resolutions. Some of them are public, some of them are being privately used, but all of them are basically accessible. In particular, and that's, I think, something really interesting also for not only Europe, but actually for organizations all around the world. We have a state-of-the-art European satellite system called Sentinel. And at the moment, we have 4 out of 6 Sentinels in space, operational. Sentinel-1, actually using radar, where we can use the satellite to observe, for example, landslides, but also tectonic shifts. We have Sentinel-2, which use state-of-the-art optical instruments, which can be used, for example, for agriculture applications, for crop monitoring, or assessing the greenness of cities and provinces. We have Sentinel-3, which actually looks into sea and land temperature differences, and Sentinel-5, to which I'm going to come later on. But with regards to Sentinel-3, I think there's a lot of interesting opportunities in there to look into drought and into heat islands, not only on the global scale for environmental climatic modeling and observation, but actually also on the country scale, where we can actually use this information for agriculture applications to kind of plan, assess, and also create early warning systems for precision agriculture. And actually you can zoom in so much, maybe some of you recognize the city. I found a report on Kiev where actually the Sentinel was being used in order to detect heat islands and see the differences in land surface temperature. On the top you see it in Kelvin being demonstrated, as you see in the city centers you have much higher spots. Here you also see one of the limitations of satellite Earth observation. Often the resolution is not within the centimeter, and sometimes not even in the 5 to 10 meter scale, but usually a little bit higher. For example, here with Sentinel-3, we're speaking about a resolution of 50 and 100 meter, which means that in any case, we have to complement satellite Earth observation data with ground information data, which nevertheless puts satellite Earth observation as reliable and affordable and also a globally available big data source for a lot of organizations, whether it's public authorities, whether it's NGOs, but of course also businesses who can make use of this kind of big data source. What I want to speak with you though about today is a project we just entered together with the World Bank. It's about air quality monitoring with the help of a novel satellite. It's called Sentinel-5P. The P is for prosecutor. It's a particular instrumentation set of which one, the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 instruments, actually also been developed in the Netherlands. Accordingly, there's been a lot of expert knowledge available. The great benefit of this satellite is that you actually have a daily revisit time, meaning that the satellite kind of revisits the same spot at least once per day. We have it's a global coverage. You have homogeneous data, meaning it's only one satellite, basically one sensor, instead of having a plethora of different sensors, firmwares, which of course leads to a couple of compatibility issues. The resolution is fairly interesting. I'm going to come back to this later on. Nevertheless, it's 3.557 kilometers. Of course, we're talking about very different spatial resolutions. It's freely available, and it's also available during COVID-19 times, where indeed a few air quality projects couldn't be started because of restrictions with regards to on-the-ground measurements and implementations of new sensors. Sentinel-5P looks into a variety of different air pollutants, carbon monoxide being one of them, methane, ozone, but, and that's interesting for us, nitrogen dioxide. Nitrogen dioxide is both a hazard, it's basically affecting directly human health, like lung diseases, like asthma, but also agriculture, because actually high levels of NO2 can lead to acid rain and reduce plant growth. But, and maybe different as the other companies are presenting beforehand, it actually is an interesting proxy for economic health and development. And why is this? Because it actually correlates with, or it's actually being caused, not only correlates, but is caused by transportation and industrial activity, basically by the combustion of fossil fuels. And why is this interesting? It's like during the COVID-19 pandemic, it gave us a remote overview of what is happening on the industrial and kind of socioeconomic scale in different countries, not on a country level, but even on provincial and city level. Beginning of the year, like first studies from the European Space Agency were published looking into China, and you see a little bit the development of China, how the NO2 levels dropped, and those directly correlated actually with industrial activities. For example, the performance of coal-fired plant, but also of transportation. And this, at this point, China, of course, was very much in the focus, and we said as Space for Good, let's do something similar here for the Netherlands and compare it with another very strongly affected country in Europe, which was Spain at this point. Oh yeah, okay. So what we basically did, we did the study in the Netherlands and Spain. Unfortunately, we didn't find an organization who wanted to pursue this further. Nevertheless, we found the World Bank Group with the help also of WorldStartup, which facilitated the communication. We started investigating Java Islands in terms of Indonesia, expanded our activities, so it's not only visualizing what is happening right now, but actually also comparing it with different time zones, with different other socioeconomic factors like GDP and mobility data, and at the end developed a platform and reports which helped economists to basically assess the socioeconomic activities as one of the proxies by looking into NO2. So for us, what's happening right now, we're scaling into other Southeast Asian, Asian countries. We are doing a scientific investigation because indeed remote sensing is still very much expert-based. We like now planning and combining it with ground quality and sensors, and eventually will make this platform available to other interested organizations and countries. And as such, really interested to have this conversation now here with the Ukraine, because also just recently we started looking into illegal logging, basically deforestation in the Ukraine together with WWF. So there seems to be more and more interest from the Ukraine looking into remote sensing data. So I'm very happy to present this and be open to your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alexander. And Roman, please, you can ask the question to Alex now.
Alexander, thank you very much for a really interesting presentation. If I'm understanding correctly, the Space for Good is offering actually B2G solution for a large-scale analysis of the geospatial data in the context of the NO2 and other air substances. But who are you targeting as your primary customers? Are these the economic development agencies, healthcare ministries? What type of the institution is going to buy the solution from you?
So actually our solution is less a particular application. It's more of a platform which makes use of geospatial information, basically with georeference ground information, and use machine learning in order to create insights out of this. In this particular case, basically it's a project which we have together with the World Bank where we can leverage our platform, just in this case by making use of Sentinel-5P data and tailoring then the interface to the needs of economists. I think that's the interesting part of like basically having the back end, which is basically making use of cloud computing and machine learning, versus very tailored front ends and products which are being output. In this case for economists, which basically want to have data which they can correlate with GDP, with mobility data, and with other, for example, transaction data.
Okay, so the product would be different. Am I getting it right? That the product would be different front ends and the different type of reports built on the top of the data set you're getting from the Sentinel-5P.
Exactly. As such, our customers are business to government, but also business to business. And at particular cases, we're even working with the individuals, for example, like artists or really like forefront thinkers who want to make use of a novel big data source in order to visualize the impact they would like to achieve and the problems they're encountering right now.
Thank you very much, Alexander. One more question from one of our attendees. It was the question to show one more time the slide with the types of satellites, because it was very important for someone to see it all And while you will show the screen, I will take opportunity to say thank you to all of you here. And it was really interesting discussion and very interesting topic. And thank you very much. I give the floor to Alisa to make the round all and to finish this session. Please, Alisa.
Thank you all for this really great gathering. I think it was interesting and productive, and we are waiting for you at the next webinars of this series. And at the 4th Urban Hackathon, which will take place on July the 24th this year. So thank you all for this really great presentations, discussions, and I think a lot of information we can really use in next development of projects and solutions for cities, and we can really adopt this practice. Thank you very much, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Many thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye-bye.
And the recording will be available, recording?
Yes. We will send the recording to every registered participant.
Fantastic. Great. It was very big pleasure to be with you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.